Nazi Germany built a gun that weighed as much as a destroyer and hurled 7-ton shells across the horizon. They called it Schwerer Gustav. It fired fewer than 50 rounds in the entire war, so why build it at all? The answer lies in the concrete fortresses blocking Germany's path. This weapon was not built for standard fluid maneuvers. It was a dedicated siege system designed for the slow, crushing demands of fortress warfare. Yet, as the world moved toward fast tanks and dominant air power, a weapon of this magnitude faced an immediate crisis of relevance. It created a direct clash between engineering ambition and the practical demands of real combat, a test of whether sheer psychological terror and industrial spectacle could ever outweigh the brutal realities of a rapidly changing battlefield. In the early 1930s, France constructed the Maginot Line, a defensive wall of reinforced concrete 7 meters thick and steel armor plating 1 meter thick. No conventional weapon in the German arsenal could pierce these barriers from a safe distance. To solve this specific tactical problem, the Army Ordnance Office turned to the industrial giant Krupp. Between 1934 and 1935, Krupp's design team, led by Chief Engineer Erich Müller, conducted feasibility studies for heavy artillery. Müller determined that only an extreme caliber of 800 millimeters could punch through the French defenses. This state-backed program quickly won the enthusiastic support of Adolf Hitler, who favored massive prestige weapons for their symbolic power. Officially authorized in 1936, the project received an initial budget commitment of 7 million Reichsmarks. Throughout the development window from 1934 to 1941, Krupp's engineers worked to turn these blueprints into a functional supergun, locking Germany into a costly engineering pursuit long before the weapon ever reached the battlefield. The barrel opening spanned 800 millimeters wide, with a steel tube stretching 32.5 meters in length. Fully assembled, the entire weapon weighed 1,350 tons. It fired 2 types of custom ammunition, a high-explosive shell weighing 4,800 kilograms, and an armor-piercing round that tipped the scales at 7,100 kilograms, as heavy as a fully grown African elephant. The barrel, breech, cradle, and carriage operated as one coordinated system. To load the weapon, a hydraulic rammer pushed the massive shell into the breech. Once the block slid shut and the propellant ignited, the immense firing shock was absorbed by 4 hydraulic recoil cylinders. These cylinders forced the carriage backward into a concrete-filled cradle, safely dissipating the energy before the next round. To support this massive weight, the weapon could not run on ordinary tracks. Krupp engineered a dual-track system laid over reinforced concrete foundations. Moving the supergun required breaking it down into a convoy of 25 to 30 custom rail cars. Once at the firing site, a team of 250 mechanics worked 54 hours straight just to assemble the carriage and mount the barrel. This effort required up to 2,500 railway troops and engineers to prepare the ground, lay the tracks, and secure the perimeter. Every detail of this operation was baked directly into the weapon's engineering blueprints. On paper, this massive system offered unmatched power, hurling 7-ton shells capable of shattering 7 meters of reinforced concrete. The psychological terror on defenders was undeniable. Yet, the physical reality was highly impractical. The gun could fire only once every 30 to 45 minutes. Its immense dual-track infrastructure was impossible to hide from enemy aircraft, turning the weapon into a massive static target. While the war shifted toward rapid, armored maneuvers, this monster remained pinned to its tracks, consuming the fuel, steel, and soldiers of an entire army division for a weapon that was simply too slow to move. In June 1942, the German military deployed the weapon to the heavily fortified Soviet port of Sevastopol. On June 5th, the gun fired its first combat round. Over the next month, it launched 48 shells against coastal batteries and forts. The weapon's single major success occurred when a 7-ton armor-piercing shell drilled through 27 meters of earth, destroying a Soviet ammunition depot buried deep beneath Severnaya Bay. The resulting blast shook the peninsula, yet this strike did little to alter the campaign. Standard infantry assaults and relentless field artillery ultimately forced the city's surrender. With the siege over, the slow, vulnerable gun was dismantled and sent back to Germany, never to fire another combat round. In April 1945, as Allied forces closed in, German demolition crews destroyed the weapon near Auerbach to prevent its capture. U.S. troops later discovered and photographed the shattered steel carriage and split barrel. Today, almost nothing remains of the massive project except for a 2-meter barrel fragment displayed in Maryland, alongside surviving blueprints and photographs in historical archives. This wreckage serves as the final, quiet record of a weapon whose immense scale did not guarantee victory. Ultimately, the Supergun stood as a monument to a strategic error, proving that unmatched size on the drawing board could not survive the fast, shifting realities of modern war. Schwerer Gustav remains the ultimate warning against military over-engineering. It proves that spectacular power is useless if you can't easily use it. Share your thoughts in the comments.